The emergency alarm echoed through the massive halls of Nexus Prime Station. Ambassador moved his 6 legs quickly across the polished floor, his antenna twitching with stress. In 30 years of service to the Galactic Council, he had never seen such panic among the member species. The council chamber filled rapidly. Representatives from over 40 species took their seats in the circular room, climbed onto the central platform, and looked at the gathered crowd. His translator device hummed to life. "The session is now open," announced. "We face a crisis. 3 days ago, the Empire declared war on the Federation." Murmurs spread through the chamber. They were a peaceful species known for their art and philosophy. They had no military worth mentioning. They, on the other hand, commanded one of the largest fleets in the galaxy. Their weapons could turn planets into dust. A reptilian delegate stood up. "We must condemn this action." "Condemnation means nothing," another voice called out. "They have already destroyed 2 colonies. Thousands are dead." Raised his foreleg for silence. "The question before us is simple. Do we intervene?" The chamber erupted in argument. Some species demanded action. Others warned against opposing the military machine. Several delegates pointed out that the council had no army of its own. Any intervention would require member species to contribute their fleets. No one volunteered. In the observation section, Ambassador Lisa Monroe sat quietly and watched the debate. She represented Earth, the member of the Galactic Council. Humans had only joined 50 years ago, and most species still viewed them as primitives who had barely mastered space travel. Lisa's communication device buzzed. She glanced at the message from Earth Fleet Command. Her eyes widened slightly as she read the brief text. The debate continued for another hour. Tried to maintain order, but fear dominated the discussion. They had made it clear they would consider any interference an act of war. Most council members had no desire to face weapons. Finally, Lisa stood up. The movement caught attention. "The chair recognizes Ambassador Monroe of Earth," said. Dozens of eyes turned toward her. Some species looked curious. Others seemed annoyed that the junior member would speak at such a critical time. "Thank you," Lisa said. Her voice remained calm and professional. "I have received communication from my government. Earth is willing to provide military assistance to the Federation. We can deploy 3 battle groups within 48 hours. The chamber fell completely silent for 3 seconds. Then chaos erupted. "Absolutely not." His voice rose above his normal tone. His antenna stood straight up in alarm. "Earth must stay out of this," the reptilian delegate shouted. "You do not understand what you are offering," another voice added. Lisa frowned. "I don't understand the problem. They need help. We can provide it." Moved to the edge of his platform, leaning toward Lisa. "Ambassador Monroe, please. This is not a decision to make lightly. They are dangerous." "That is exactly why someone should help," Lisa replied. "No, no, no," shook his head, a gesture he had learned from humans. "You must trust the council on this matter. Earth should remain neutral." Lisa looked around the chamber. Every delegate seemed to share panic. This made no sense. The council needed military support, yet they rejected her offer immediately. "May I ask why?" Lisa said. "The situation is complicated," said quickly. "More complicated than you realize. Please, just relay to your government that the council respectfully requests Earth's neutrality in this conflict." "I will send the message," Lisa said slowly, "but I would like an explanation." "Later, we will discuss it later," turned to the full council. "All in favor of officially requesting Earth's neutrality." Every hand, tentacle, and appendage rose in agreement. The vote was unanimous. Lisa sat down, confused and frustrated. Something strange was happening here. The council feared yet they feared human involvement even more. Why? The session ended shortly after. Most delegates left quickly, avoiding eye contact with Lisa. She gathered her materials and prepared to return to the human quarters. "Ambassador Monroe." Lisa turned to see approaching with 2 other senior council members. One was a tall, blue-skinned female named. The other was a floating crystalline being called. "May we speak privately?" asked. They moved to a small side chamber. Once the door closed, his polite demeanor shifted slightly. "You must understand," he began. "The council is not being unreasonable. We have good reasons for our request." "Then share them," Lisa said. Exchanged glances with end. Some silent communication passed between them. "There are classified reports," said carefully, "about human military actions, incidents from your early years in the Council." "What kind of incidents?" Lisa asked. "The kind that concern us," his crystalline voice chimed. "Humans fight differently than other species. When you become involved in conflicts, you do not stop, you do not negotiate, you do not show the restraint we expect from civilized species." Lisa felt her temper rising. "Are you calling humans uncivilized?" "No," said quickly. "Not uncivilized, just different, very different, in ways that make this council nervous." "That makes no sense." "It will," said quietly. "In time, you will understand why we make this request. For now, please trust us. Tell Earth to stay out of this conflict, please." The three senior members left without another word. Lisa stood alone in the empty chamber, more confused than ever. She returned to her quarters and composed a message to Earth Fleet Command. She explained the Council's request and the strange reaction to human involvement. She tried to be objective, but her confusion showed through the words. As she prepared to rest, her communication system chimed with incoming news. They had launched a second wave of attacks. This time, they targeted civilian centers on the. Early reports indicated massive casualties. Children's hospitals had been destroyed. Lisa stared at the images on her screen. The destruction was deliberate, calculated to break will to resist. She thought about the Council's panic, their desperate request for Earth to stay neutral, their hints about classified reports and past incidents. Whatever they feared about human involvement, Lisa suspected the galaxy was about to remember why. Admiral Jack Harrison stood in the command center of Earth Defense Headquarters, reading Lisa Monroe's message for the third time. Around him, dozens of officers monitored screens showing fleet positions across human space. The room hummed with quiet activity. "They said no," Commander Kate stepped up beside him. "The Council doesn't want our help." "That is correct," Jack handed her the tablet. "They specifically requested we stay neutral." Kate read through the message, her expression growing more puzzled. "This doesn't make sense. They are getting destroyed. The Council has no military response. Why reject our offer?" "Lisa mentioned something about classified reports," Jack said. "Past incidents involving human forces. The Council members seemed genuinely afraid of our involvement." "Afraid of us?" Kate laughed. "We are one of the smaller military powers in the Council. Half the species there have ships twice the size of ours." "Size is not everything." General Ben Carter walked over to join them. "Maybe they remember how we handled the situation." Jack nodded slowly. "That was 20 years ago. Surely they have moved past it." "Have they?" Ben raised an eyebrow. "We did hunt those pirates across 17 star systems for 8 months, until every single one was captured or dead." "They had attacked our colony," Kate said firmly. "Killed 3,000 civilians. What did the Council expect us to do?" "Exactly what every other species does," Ben replied. "Fight them off. Maybe pursue them for a few weeks, then declare victory and go home." He paused. "We did not do that. We hunted them like animals until there were none left." The room fell quiet for a moment. Jack cleared his throat. "Regardless of past concerns, we have a current situation. President Mitchell wants a full briefing in 2 hours. I need intelligence on what is actually happening in space." "Already on it," Kate said. "Captain Beck took the Pathfinder out yesterday. He should be in position to observe within the hour." Beck had served in Earth's reconnaissance fleet for 12 years. He knew how to keep his ship hidden and gather information without being detected. The Pathfinder was designed for exactly this kind of mission. 2 hours later, Jack sat in the briefing room with President Laura Mitchell and her senior advisors. Amy, Earth's chief intelligence officer, stood at the front of the room with a holographic display behind her. "Here is what we know," Amy began. "The Empire declared war on the Federation 4 days ago. Their stated reason is a border dispute, but intelligence suggests they simply want to expand their territory." The hologram showed fleet movements. Red markers indicated attack points. "They have superior numbers and firepower," Amy continued. "They have almost no military capability. It is not a war, it is an extermination." "Casualties?" President Mitchell asked. "Current estimates put civilian deaths at 40,000 and rising. They are not targeting military installations because there are none." They are destroying cities, infrastructure, and population centers. The room remained silent as Amy showed images from the burning cities, destroyed hospitals, refugee columns fleeing bombardment. They hit a children's medical facility yesterday, Amy said quietly. 2,000 patients, mostly young. There were no survivors. President Mitchell closed her eyes briefly. When she opened them, her expression had hardened. "What is the council doing?" she asked. "Nothing," Jack said. "They are paralyzed by fear of retaliation and apparently also by fear of our involvement." "They actually told us to stay out of it," one of the advisors asked. Unanimously, Jack confirmed. President Mitchell stood up and walked to the holographic display. She stared at the images of destruction for a long moment. "Get Captain Beck on the line," she said. 5 minutes later, his face appeared on the main screen. Behind him, the bridge of the Pathfinder showed the tactical situation. "Mr. President," said, "we are currently observing from the outer system. The situation is worse than initial reports indicated." "Show me." His tactical officer switched the feed to show the fleet. Dozens of massive warships surrounded the... As they watched, another bombardment began. Bright flashes marked the destruction of surface targets. "They are not even trying to invade," said. "They are just destroying everything. This is deliberate genocide." President Mitchell's jaw tightened. "Have they detected you?" "No, ma'am. We are running dark and staying well outside their sensor range." "Good, stay there and keep monitoring. I may have new orders for you shortly." The connection ended. President Mitchell turned to face her advisors. "Opinions." Ben Carter spoke first. "The need help, the council is not providing it. We can make a difference." "The council specifically asked us not to intervene," another advisor pointed out. "The council can ask whatever they want," President Mitchell said. "They do not command Earth's military. We make our own decisions about when to act." "This could damage our diplomatic standing," the advisor pressed. Amy spoke up. "With respect, our diplomatic standing means nothing if we stand by and watch genocide happen. What kind of species would we be?" President Mitchell nodded. "Agreed. Jack, begin fleet mobilization. I want battle groups ready to deploy within 24 hours. "Yes, ma'am." Jack activated his communication device and began issuing orders. "Also contact Ambassador Monroe," President Mitchell added. "Tell her to inform the council of our decision. They may not like it, but they should not be surprised by it." As the meeting broke up, Amy approached the president privately. "Ma'am, I have been reviewing those classified files the council mentioned, the ones about human military actions." "What did you find?" "The incident was not the only one that concerned them. There have been at least 6 other situations where human forces responded to threats or attacks." Amy pulled up a list on her tablet. "In every case, we pursued the aggressors far beyond what other species considered reasonable." "Define reasonable." "Most species fight until they achieve their immediate objective, then negotiate peace. We fight until the threat is completely eliminated. We do not stop until we are satisfied justice has been served." President Mitchell considered this. "So the council fears we will not stop at defending they think we will pursue the back to their own territory." "Yes, ma'am, and based on our history, they are probably right." "Good," President Mitchell said simply. "They should be afraid. They chose to target children's hospitals. There should be consequences for that." Within hours, Earth's fleets began moving. 3 battle groups consisting of 27 ships set course for space. The journey would take 3 days at maximum speed. On Nexus Prime Station, alarms began sounding again. Council sensors detected the human fleet movement. Within minutes, another emergency session was called. Stood on the central platform, his antenna drooping with stress. Lisa Monroe sat in her usual spot, her expression neutral. "Ambassador Monroe," said, his voice strained. "We have detected Earth fleet movements toward the conflict zone. Please tell me this is not what it appears to be." Lisa stood up calmly. "Earth has decided to provide military assistance to the Federation. Our forces will arrive in approximately 72 hours. The chamber exploded with shouts and protests. Raised his forelegs for silence, but it took several minutes to restore order. "We specifically requested Earth remain neutral," said desperately. "My government considered your request," Lisa replied. They decided the moral imperative to stop genocide outweighs diplomatic concerns. "You do not understand what you are doing," called out from her seat. "We understand perfectly," Lisa said. "We are going to help people who cannot help themselves." "And then what?" His crystalline voice rang clear. "After you defeat the invasion force, then what?" Lisa met his gaze steadily. "Then we will see," entered the private council chamber with heavy steps, and were already there along with 5 other senior members. The room's security systems ensured complete privacy. No recordings, no external monitoring. What they discussed here would remain secret. "We must stop them," said immediately. "The humans are 2 days from space. If we send a combined fleet now, we can intercept them." "And say what?" the reptilian delegate asked. "We have no authority to order them back. Earth is a sovereign member." "Then we invoke emergency protocols," pressed. "Temporary suspension of their council membership." "On what grounds?" chimed. "They are responding to a humanitarian crisis that we refuse to address. Any tribunal would side with Earth." Settled onto his cushioned platform. "The problem is not what humans are doing now. The problem is what they will do after." The room fell silent. Everyone understood what he meant. "Perhaps we are overreacting," a floating jellyfish-like being named suggested. "The incident was 2 decades ago. Maybe humans have changed." "Have they?" activated a holographic display. "Let me share something. 3 years ago, human patrol ships encountered a slaver vessel in neutral space. The slavers fired on them and escaped." "I remember that incident," said. "Standard border conflict." "What you do not remember is what happened next," continued. "Because we classified it. The humans did not report the encounter and leave it. They tracked those slavers across 9 systems, through 3 different territorial jurisdictions. It took them 4 months, but they found the slaver base." "And destroyed it?" asked. "Destroyed it, arrested every slaver they could find. Then traced the organization's supply chain and financial network. They dismantled the entire operation. Hundreds of arrests. Complete elimination of a criminal syndicate that had operated for 30 years. "That sounds like good police work," said. "It sounds like obsession," countered. "No other species would invest that much time and resources over one border incident. Humans do not know when to stop." Brought up another file. 6 years ago, human research vessel discovered a laboratory station in deep space. The station was conducting medical experiments on kidnapped subjects, children mostly from primitive worlds. The chamber stirred uneasily. Such crimes were rare but not unheard of in the vastness of space. "The station was operated by a species called the," continued. "They had legal protection under their government. The humans did not care. They assaulted the station, killed everyone inside. Then they went to the and demanded justice." "The refused, I assume?" asked. "They did. So the humans provided the council with complete evidence of the experiments. Medical records, video documentation, testimony from rescued children. The evidence was so overwhelming that we had no choice but to sanction the government." "That still sounds like appropriate action," said. "The human captain who found that station was named Hayes," said quietly. "Do you know what she told me when I interviewed her? She said if the council had not acted, she would have gone back and destroyed the entire fleet herself. And I believed her. I saw it in her eyes. She meant every word." The room remained quiet. "You see the pattern?" continued. "Humans do not fight for territory. They do not fight for resources. They fight for principles, for justice, for protection of the innocent. And when they fight for these things, they become absolutely relentless." "Other species have principles too," argued weakly. "Other species negotiate their principles," said. "They find compromises, they accept partial victories. Humans do not. When a human decides something is wrong, they will not rest until it is made right, completely right." Leaned forward. "So what do we do? The humans are already on their way." Looked at each member in turn. "We tell Ambassador Monroe the truth, all of it. Maybe if she understands our concerns, she can convince her government to show restraint." "Will it work?" asked. "Probably not," admitted, "but we must try." An hour later, Lisa Monroe entered the private chamber. She had expected another lecture about staying neutral. Instead, she found the senior council members looking exhausted and worried. "Thank you for coming," Ambassador said. "Please sit, we need to be honest with you." Lisa sat, her expression cautious. I am listening. We were not truthful about our concerns, began. When we asked Earth to stay out of this conflict, we were not worried about the Empire's response. We were worried about yours. I do not understand. 20 years ago, said, there was an incident. Pirates attacked a human colony world called. They killed 3,000 civilians and fled. I know about, Lisa said. It was before my time, but every human knows that story. Do you know how long your military pursued those pirates? Asked. Until they were caught. 8 months, said. Across 17 star systems, through 6 different territories, you ignored diplomatic protests. You ignored ceasefire requests. You hunted them like they were the last targets in the universe. Lisa frowned. They murdered 3,000 people. Did you expect us to just forget about it? Yes, said simply. That is exactly what every other species would have done. Fight them off. Maybe pursue for a few weeks, then declare victory and move on. That is how civilized warfare works. That is not how justice works. Justice, repeated the word. That is the problem. You see conflicts as matters of justice. Other species see them as matters of interest. When interests are satisfied, the conflict ends, but justice has no endpoint. It demands complete resolution. Is that supposed to be a criticism? Lisa asked. It is an observation, said. One that makes us very nervous about your current deployment. You are going to defend them. We appreciate this. But what happens after you drive off the fleet? Lisa stayed silent. You will not stop there, said. You will pursue them, back to their territory. You will dismantle their military capability. You will demand justice for every civilian they killed. And you will not rest until the entire empire is brought to account. They bombed children's hospitals, Lisa said coldly. What did you expect us to do? Show restraint, said. Accept a negotiated peace. Let them withdraw with dignity. Dignity? Lisa stood up, her voice rising. You want us to show dignity to a government that deliberately targeted medical facilities full of children, that massacred 40,000 civilians. That is committing genocide. We want you to not destabilize an entire sector of the galaxy, said. Then maybe that sector needs to be destabilized, Lisa shot back, if it allows governments to commit genocide without consequence. Raised his foreleg. Please, we are not defending their actions are horrible, criminal, but there are larger concerns at play here, galactic stability, the balance of power, the precedent this sets. The precedent that genocide has consequences, Lisa asked. The precedent that one species can appoint itself judge, an executioner for the entire galaxy. Lisa looked at each of them. Is that what you think we are doing? Yes, said bluntly. Whether you intend it or not, that is the result. You are about to teach the galaxy that human morality will be enforced at gunpoint. Every species here will have to consider that before taking any action you might disapprove of. Good, Lisa said simply. Maybe they should think about that. You cannot be serious, said. I am completely serious. You had the power to stop this genocide, all of you. Combined, the Council has enough military force to make the think twice, but you did nothing because you were afraid. You let innocent people die to maintain your comfortable status. And you will let innocent die to satisfy your need for justice, countered. We will hold guilty accountable for their crimes, Lisa corrected. There is a difference. Is there? Asked. When your fleets arrive when their military is destroyed and their government is in ruins, when their economy collapses and their people suffer, will you see the difference then? Lisa met his gaze. The people will not suffer under Earth occupation. We do not target civilians. We do not destroy infrastructure unnecessarily. We will remove their ability to wage aggressive war, yes. But we will also ensure their population is fed, housed, and treated fairly. And if they resist, asked, then we will keep them occupied until they stop resisting. How long? Demanded. 5 years, 10, forever. However long it takes. The room fell silent. The senior council members exchanged glances. Their worst fears were being confirmed. Do you understand what you are saying? Asked quietly. You are committing Earth to an indefinite military campaign against a major galactic power. The cost in lives, resources, and political capital will be enormous. Yes, Lisa said. I understand perfectly, and my government understands too. We made this decision with full knowledge of what it means. She walked to the door, then paused and looked back. You asked us to stay out because you knew we would not stop halfway. You were right, we will not. They chose to bomb hospitals full of children. They chose to commit genocide. Those choices have consequences. Ambassador, please, said desperately. There must be some way to convince your government to show restraint. Lisa considered for a moment. Tell them to surrender immediately. Offer complete reparations to the... Submit to war crimes tribunals. If they do all of that within the next 48 hours, Earth might be willing to negotiate. They will never agree to those terms, said. Then they should not have attacked children, Lisa replied. Those are the only terms we will accept. She left the chamber. Behind her, the senior council members sat in stunned silence. Finally spoke, contact all member species, tell them what is coming, they need to be prepared. Admiral stood on the command bridge of his flagship, the Devastator. Through the massive viewport, he could see the below. Smoke rose from a dozen burning cities. The orbital bombardment had been very effective. Status report, demanded. His tactical officer checked the displays. 70% of major population centers are destroyed. Defensive capability is 0. They are requesting surrender negotiations. Ignore them, said. Continue bombardment until I give the order to stop. The Empire did not accept surrenders until the enemy was completely broken. It was their way. Fear and overwhelming force had built their empire. It would continue to work. Sir, the communications officer called out. We are detecting new contacts at the edge of the system. Multiple ships just dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Reinforcements? Asked. He had been expecting the Council to eventually send some token force. They always did once the real damage was done. Unknown configuration. Scanning now. The officer's scales shifted color, indicating surprise. Sir, they are broadcasting identification codes. These are human vessels from Earth. Size narrowed. Humans, what are those primitives doing here? They are hailing us, sir. Put them through. The shifted to show a human male in a dark uniform. The translator identified him as Admiral Jack Harrison, commander of Earth's Third Fleet. Vessels, Jack said calmly, you are ordered to cease all hostile actions immediately and withdraw from space. You have 10 minutes to comply. Stared at the screen for a moment, then burst out laughing. His bridge crew joined in. The sound echoed through the command center. Did you just give me an order? Asked when he recovered. You, a representative of a species that only learned to travel between stars a few generations ago, you order me. 9 minutes 30 seconds, Jack replied, his expression unchanged. Let me explain something to you, human. The Empire has conquered 12 systems. Our fleet numbers over 400 warships. You have arrived with, 20 ships? Pathetic. Leave now before I add Earth to my list of conquests. Your reputation does not impress us, Jack said. Your actions against civilians disgust us. You have 9 minutes to begin withdrawal. Some amusement faded. You dare to lecture me about warfare? I have been commanding fleets since before your species left it. I do not take orders from children. Then you will learn a very hard lesson, Jack said. 8 minutes 40 seconds. Cut the communication. Battle stations, prepare to engage the human fleet. Sir, should we not at least scan their capabilities first? The tactical officer asked. Unnecessary, they are primitives with delusions of importance. We will destroy them quickly and return to our work. Pointed at the screen. All ships, attack formation, eliminate the human vessels. The fleet began to move. 37 warships broke orbit and accelerated toward the human position. Each vessel was twice the size of the largest human ship. Their weapons had reduced planets to ash. On the bridge of his flagship, the ERS Defender, Jack watched the fleet approach. Commander Kate stood beside him, monitoring tactical displays. They are not even trying to be strategic, Kate observed. Just a straight-line advance, pure intimidation tactics. They think we will run, Jack said. All ships implement Battle Plan Alpha. Let us show them what happens when you underestimate humans. The human fleet split into 3 groups. Instead of meeting the head-on, they scattered in different directions. The fleet adjusted course, pursuing what they assumed was a retreat. They are taking the bait, Kate said. Good, Captain Beck, you are clear to proceed. In the asteroid field at the edge of the system, Beck brought the Pathfinder and 5 other ships out of hiding. They had been waiting there for hours, running completely dark to avoid detection. All ships weapons free, said calmly. Target their rear formation. The 6 human ships opened fire with precision weapons. Missiles and energy beams struck the vessels from behind. 3 ships suffered critical damage before they even realized they were under attack. Admiral watched his rear formation crumble in confusion. What happened? Where did those ships come from? They were hiding in the asteroid field, sir. They ambushed us. Impossible. Our sensors should have detected them. Human stealth technology is more advanced than we thought, sir. Before could respond, the 3 human groups that had scattered suddenly reversed course. They came at the fleet from different angles, firing as they moved. The formation, designed for straightforward combat, struggled to respond to attacks from multiple directions. Evasive maneuvers, shouted, return fire. The ships were powerful but slow. The human vessels moved like dancers, dodging incoming fire while delivering precise strikes at critical systems. They did not try to destroy ships outright. Instead, they targeted engines, weapons, and communication arrays. Disabled ships drifted helplessly as the battle continued around them. This is not how battles are fought, said, watching in growing alarm. They fight like pirates, not a proper military. They are very effective pirates, sir, his tactical officer said. We have lost 9 ships already. Another 14 are disabled. All remaining ships concentrate fire on their flagship. If we kill their commander, they will break. The fleet focused their weapons on the defender. Energy beams and missiles converged on Jack's position. For a moment, it seemed like the ship would be overwhelmed. Then the defender's shields held, and continued to hold. Their defensive systems are far stronger than our intelligence suggested, the tactical officer reported. Direct hits are having minimal effect. Kate smiled grimly as she watched the damage reports. Earth learned from every species in the Council. We took all their best defensive technologies and improved them. You cannot fight humans with yesterday's tactics. The battle continued for another hour. The fleet, designed for overwhelming slower opponents, found itself outmaneuvered at every turn. Human ships worked in perfect coordination, supporting each other, covering weaknesses, and exploiting opportunities with ruthless efficiency. Colonel Dan Torres led a Marine assault team onto one of the disabled ships. His soldiers moved through the corridors with practiced precision, securing key areas and taking prisoners. The crew, trained for ship-to-ship combat, had no idea how to respond to boarders who moved like ghosts and struck like lightning. Ship secured, Dan reported to Jack. Prisoners are being detained, no human casualties. Good work, Colonel. Move to the next target. Across the battlefield, similar scenes played out. Human teams boarded disabled vessels, taking control before the crews could scuttle them. It was not just a battle. It was a systematic dismantling of enemy capability. Admiral realized too late what was happening. The humans were not trying to win a glorious victory. They were eliminating his fleet piece by piece, as efficiently as possible, while minimizing their own losses. Fall back, he ordered. All ships return to orbit. We need to regroup. But the human fleet did not let them retreat easily. They pursued, harrying the ships, preventing them from forming a proper defensive line. By the time the surviving vessels reached orbit, they had lost over half their force. Stared at the tactical display in disbelief. In one battle, the primitive humans had destroyed or captured 23 of his ships. His proud fleet was in ruins. Send a message to command, he said quietly. Tell them we need immediate reinforcements. The humans are not what we thought they were. On the Defender's bridge, Jack watched the fleet limp back into orbit. Kate approached him with a report. Final count, 0 human ships lost, 3 with moderate damage already being repaired. We captured 12 vessels intact and destroyed 11 others. The remaining 14 are heavily damaged. And though Jack asked, surface bombardment has stopped. They are too busy licking their wounds to continue their attacks. Jack nodded. Good, begin rescue operations, get relief supplies to the surface. Medical teams, food, shelter, they have suffered enough. What about the fleet in orbit? Kate asked. Leave them for now. They are not going anywhere. Let them sit there and think about their situation. Jack turned to the communications officer. Open a channel to Admiral. The commander appeared on screen. He looked shaken, his scales dull with stress. Admiral, Jack said formally, I am giving you one more chance to withdraw. Leave space immediately. Your war here is over. You have defeated one fleet, said, trying to maintain dignity. The Empire has many more. Reinforcements are already on the way. Let them come, Jack replied. We will deal with them the same way we dealt with you, but understand something. Every soldier who dies from this point forward dies because your government refused to end an unjust war. That blood is on your hands. The Empire does not negotiate with primitives. Then the Empire will learn to regret that position. Jack leaned forward. You bombed children's hospitals, Admiral. You targeted civilians who could not defend themselves. You committed acts that my species considers war crimes. There will be consequences for that, serious consequences. Are you threatening the? Asked, alarm creeping into his voice. I am promising you that justice will be served, one way or another. You can end this now, withdraw your forces, and face trial for your crimes, or you can continue fighting, and we will come to you and take you ourselves. You would not dare. Try us, Jack said simply. You have 48 hours to begin withdrawal. If you are still in space after that, we will assume you have chosen to continue this war. And then we will show you what humans do to those who massacre the innocent. He cut the transmission. Kate looked at him with concern. Are we really going to invade space if they do not withdraw? Admiral's 48 hours expired with no withdrawal. Instead, reinforcements arrived. 3 more fleets, over 90 ships total, dropped into space ready for battle. The High Command had sent a message with them. Destroy the humans. Show the galaxy that the Empire did not back down. Admiral Jack Harrison received their answer with calm acceptance. Very well, he said to his command staff. They made their choice. Now we make ours. All ships prepare for combat. Captain Beck, take your group and begin clearing their forward positions. Colonel Torres, prepare your Marines for boarding operations. We are going to take every ship we can. The second battle lasted 3 days. They fought harder this time, having learned from their first defeat. But humans were quick learners too, and they adapted faster. Human tactics evolved with each engagement. What worked once would not work twice. They could not keep up. By the end, 70 ships were destroyed or captured. The rest fled back toward their own territory. Admiral was captured when his damaged flagship surrendered. He sat in a detention cell on the Defender, still trying to understand how his superior forces had lost. Jack visited him once before the trial. You could have withdrawn, Jack said, standing outside the cell. No one else had to die, but your government chose pride over wisdom. The Empire will never forgive this insult, said. You have made an enemy that will hunt you forever. No, Jack replied quietly. We made an example. Your Empire chose to commit genocide. Now the galaxy will see what happens to governments that make that choice. You plan to invade us? Asked with alarm. We plan to ensure you can never do this again, to anyone, ever. Jack left without another word. 3 hours later, Earth's fleet departed space, but they did not turn toward home. They set course for territory. On Nexus Prime, the emergency council session had been running for 12 hours. Looked exhausted. Lisa Monroe sat in her usual spot, calmly answering questions. Your fleet is heading toward the, said angrily. This is an act of unprovoked aggression. They provoked it when they bombed hospitals, Lisa replied. Earth is simply following through on our stated intentions. You cannot invade a major empire, protested. The political consequences will be catastrophic. The moral consequences of doing nothing would be worse, Lisa countered. We should send a peacekeeping force, suggested. Interpose ourselves between Earth and the, prevent further conflict. Would you really fire on human ships to protect them? Lisa asked calmly. After everything they did, after 40,000 civilians died, you would defend their government from consequences. The chamber fell silent. No one wanted to answer that question. Your fleet will destroy military capability, said. We understand this, but then what? Will you occupy their world? For how long? As long as necessary, Lisa said. Until we are confident they will not commit genocide again, until their government is reformed, until justice is served for their victims. That could take years, said. Then it takes years. Earth is prepared for that commitment. You cannot police the entire galaxy, argued. We are not trying to police the entire galaxy, Lisa replied. Just the parts that commit genocide. If that frightens you, then you might want to examine your own policies. 3 weeks later, Earth's fleet arrived at the... They encountered heavy resistance. They had assembled their entire remaining fleet, over 200 ships, to defend their capital. It was the largest naval battle in galactic history. It lasted 16 hours. When it ended, the fleet was destroyed. Debris filled orbital space. Human ships, battered but victorious, established blockade positions around the planet. Admiral Jack Harrison sent a message to the planetary surface. People of your military has been defeated. Your government started an unjust war and committed terrible crimes. We are here to ensure those crimes are answered for and never repeated. You have 24 hours to surrender all war criminals for trial. If you comply, no harm will come to your civilians. If you resist, we will come down there and take them ourselves. Choose wisely. On the planet's surface, chaos erupted. The High Command tried to flee. Some committed suicide rather than face human justice. Others were caught by their own people and turned over to avoid further conflict. The Emperor himself was captured by his own guard, who feared what the humans would do if they had to invade. He was brought aboard the Defender in chains. "You have no right to judge me," the Emperor said defiantly. "I am sovereign of my people." "Sovereignty does not give you the right to commit genocide," Jack replied. "You will face trial, your crimes will be documented, justice will be served. And then what? You will execute me and declare victory. Then we will help your people build a better government, one that does not murder innocents, one that respects the rights of other species." Jack leaned forward. "You could have been a great empire respected throughout the galaxy. Instead, you chose to be feared through cruelty. That ends now." The trials lasted 3 months. Human judges, assisted by neutral council observers, heard evidence of war crimes. The documentation was overwhelming. Video footage, survivor testimony, military records that showed deliberate targeting of civilians. The Emperor and 47 high commanders were found guilty. They received life sentences in prison facilities that Earth constructed specifically for them. The rest of the military command was removed from power. Earth remained in orbit, administering the transition. Commander Kate coordinated with moderate politicians to establish a new government. It was difficult work. Many resented the occupation, but others, having seen the evidence of their government's crimes, wanted change. Colonel Dan Torres led peacekeeping forces on the surface. His soldiers did not act as conquerors. They protected civilians, distributed food and medical supplies, and maintained order without brutality. Slowly, carefully, the people began to see that humans were not there to destroy them. They were there to ensure justice. 6 months after the invasion, President Laura Mitchell visited them personally. She walked through the capital city with minimal security, meeting citizens and answering questions. Many were shocked that the human leader would come among them so openly. At a public gathering, one young asked her a question that was on everyone's mind. "How long will you occupy us?" President Mitchell looked at the crowd. "Until your new government is stable. Until we are confident you will not return to aggressive warfare, until the victims of your previous government's crimes receive proper compensation. We are not here to rule you. We are here to ensure you never hurt others the way you hurt the..." "And if we resist," an older challenged. "Then we stay longer," Mitchell replied simply. "But why would you resist? We are not harming you. We are not taking your resources. We are not enslaving your people. We are simply ensuring you build a peaceful society. Cooperate with us and we will leave sooner. Fight us and you only delay your own freedom." The crowd had no answer to that logic. 3 months later, Earth began withdrawing forces. The new government, elected by their own people and committed to peace, took control. Human advisors remained to help with the transition, but occupation forces went home. The Federation received full reparations from. Human construction teams helped rebuild destroyed cities. Medical teams treated injured civilians. Earth spent billions ensuring the recovered from the genocide that had almost destroyed them. On Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council held a special session. For the first time in Council history, a standing ovation greeted a member species as Lisa Monroe entered the chamber. The ambassador led the applause, tears streaming down his face. But the session itself was not celebratory. It was about establishing new protocols. Addressed the assembly. What Earth did was necessary. They committed terrible crimes and someone needed to stop them. We failed in that duty. Earth did not. However, we cannot allow any single species to act as judge and executioner for the entire galaxy whenever they deem it necessary. What do you propose? Lisa asked. A new Council Enforcement Division, multiple species contributing forces, clear protocols for intervention in humanitarian crises, and Earth at the center of it because you have shown you will act when others will not. Lisa considered this. Earth will participate, but we maintain our sovereignty. If the Council fails to act and innocents are dying, we reserve the right to intervene independently. That is acceptable, said. After watching what humans could do, no one wanted to try restricting them completely. Better to work with them than against them. There is one more matter, said Standing. Earth's status in this council. We propose immediately elevating them to senior member status. They have earned it. The vote was unanimous. That evening, Lisa sat in her quarters reviewing the day's events. Her communication device chimed. It was Admiral Jack Harrison calling from Earth. Congratulations on the promotion, Jack said with a slight smile. Thank you. How are things at home? Complicated. Some politicians are arguing we overextended ourselves. Others want us to do more of the same across the galaxy. President Mitchell is trying to find balance. What do you think? Lisa asked. Jack was quiet for a moment. I think we did what needed to be done, the committed genocide. Someone had to stop them. Someone had to show the galaxy that such crimes have consequences. The Council was afraid we would not stop. They were right to be afraid, Jack said seriously. We would not have stopped, not until justice was served. That frightens them because most species do not think that way. They fight for advantage, not for principles. Is that a bad thing? Lisa asked. No, it is what makes us human. We believe some things are worth fighting for no matter the cost. Protecting innocence, opposing tyranny, ensuring justice. Other species negotiate these values, we do not. And if that makes them afraid of us, then they should not commit genocide, Jack replied. They learned that lesson. The rest of the galaxy watched. Maybe next time someone considers targeting civilians, they will remember what happened to the Empire. So we are the galaxy's boogeyman now? Lisa asked with a slight smile. No, we are the galaxy's conscience, the reminder that actions have consequences, that might is not always right, that protecting the weak is more important than maintaining stability. Jack paused. Is that a role we chose? No, but it is a role we will fulfill because someone has to. They spoke for a few more minutes before ending the call. Lisa looked out at the stars beyond her window. The galaxy had changed. Earth's actions had rewritten the rules of galactic politics. Would other species resent them? Probably. Would they fear them? Certainly. But they would also think twice before committing atrocities. They would remember that humans did not ignore injustice, that humans protected the innocent with absolute determination. 5 years later, a minor empire on the far side of the galaxy considered invading a peaceful neighbor. Their military planners drew up invasion scenarios. Their politicians debated the benefits of expansion. Then someone mentioned Earth. What would the humans do if we invaded? Would they come here like they went to? Could we stop them? The debate ended quickly. The invasion was canceled. The peaceful neighbor never knew how close they had come to war, or that a species halfway across the galaxy had saved them without even knowing they existed. In the Galactic Council chambers, sat in his usual position, reviewing reports. Lisa Monroe entered and took her seat in the senior member section. Good morning, Ambassador, said. Quiet day today, no major conflicts, no humanitarian crises. That is good to hear, Lisa replied. It is remarkable, actually, continued. In the 5 years since the situation, major conflicts have decreased by 60%. Aggressive wars have almost stopped completely. Why do you think that is? Lisa asked innocently. Looked at her, his antenna twitching with what might have been amusement. Because everyone is afraid of what humans will do if they misbehave. You terrify them, Ambassador Monroe. Your entire species terrifies them. Good, Lisa said simply. Maybe the galaxy needs to be a little afraid. Maybe that fear will save lives. Perhaps you are right, admitted. Though I must say, I never imagined I would be grateful for a species that refused to follow diplomatic norms. We follow our own norms, Lisa replied. Protect the innocent, oppose tyranny, never stop until justice is served. Those are the only norms that matter to Earth. The rest of the galaxy is learning that, said, slowly but surely. Then our work here is successful, Lisa said. She smiled, but her eyes held the same determination that had frightened the Council 5 years ago. The same determination that had broken the Empire. The same determination that kept the galaxy peaceful through fear of consequences. Earth had not sought to be the galaxy's enforcer. But when given the choice between diplomatic comfort and moral courage, humans chose courage every time. And the galaxy, watching carefully, learned to respect that choice. Even if it terrified them. Yes, Jack said without hesitation. President Mitchell made that clear. They crossed a line. They need to learn that line exists and that crossing it has permanent consequences. The Council is going to be very upset. The Council had their chance to stop this, Jack replied. They chose to do nothing. Now they can watch and learn what happens when humanity decides to act. On Nexus Prime Station, watched the battle reports with growing dread. The humans had not just defeated the fleet. They had humiliated it, and now they were promising to pursue the there. It is happening, said quietly. Exactly as we feared, they are not stopping. Send a message to all council members, said tiredly. Tell them the galaxy is about to change. The humans have gone to war, and when humans go to war, they do not stop until their enemies are broken completely. For what? Asked. For everything to change, said quietly. The humans are going to war, and when humans go to war, they do not stop until they win, completely. That is what we fear, said quietly. You will see, and you will not stop, you never do. Lisa sat down without responding. The Council continued their panicked debate, but she tuned it out. Earth's fleet was already on the way. Whatever happened next, the galaxy was about to learn something about humanity. Or perhaps remember something it had tried to forget.